In the frozen wilderness of Yakusha, Siberia, where temperatures can drop to 71 grados bajo cero, life is harsh, silent, and lonely. Endless white plains stretch as far as the eye can see, broken only by the skeletal outline of pine trees, frozen rivers, and the occasional snow-covered cabin. It is here, in one of the coldest and most remote corners of the earth, that an 80-year-old Yakut woman named Anna lived alone in a small log cabin. Her cabin was modest, almost fragile against the relentless Siberian wind. The wooden walls creaked, and snow drifted around the roof and windows during winter storms. Inside, a small oil lamp cast a faint, flickering light, barely enough to illuminate her simple meals. Yet Anna had lived here for decades, accustomed to the silence, the cold, and the isolation.
Every morning, she would wake before sunrise.
Cup, a small mug of steaming tea in her hands, and peer out the frost-covered window. The world outside was always white, always quiet, and always demanding. She was alone, yes, but she had her routines. She had survival, she had memory, and she had resilience. Then came the blizzard. Not just a storm, but a whiteout fury that seemed to swallow the world. Snow blew sideways with a biting wind, cutting through layers of clothing like needles.
Visibility dropped to almost nothing, and the sound of the wind was a low, constant howl that threatened to drown out every other sound.
Anna, wrapped in her thick fur coat, leaned close to the window, shielding her eyes from the swirling snow. And then she saw it. At first, she thought it was her imagination. A massive brown bear, trudging through the blizzard, heading straight for her cabin. Its fur was caked in ice, and its paws sank deep into the snow with every step. But what truly stopped Anna's heart was what the bear carried in its mouth. A tiny, shivering bear cub, barely bigger than a loaf of bread, drenched in snow and cold, its small body trembling violently.
The mother bear reached the cabin with deliberate care.
She gently placed her cub on the doorstep, then stepped back and looked Anna directly in the eyes. The connection was instantaneous, silent, and unexplainable. For a moment, the world felt still. The blizzard, the cold, the isolation, all of it disappeared in that gaze. Anna's mind raced, memories flooding back from decades ago. She remembered a time long before she was old, when she had found a bear cub abandoned after a hunting accident. Its mother had been killed, leaving the tiny creature helpless in the snow. Anna, young but brave, had taken it in. She had fed it, kept it warm, nursed it back to health, and slowly watched it grow strong enough to return to the wild. She had never imagined she would see that bear again. Yet here it was, not alone, but with its own child, coming back to honor a kindness she had offered so long ago. Anna opened the door slowly, her hands trembling. She knelt beside the cub, feeling its tiny heartbeat through its fur, fragile yet full of life. "It's really you."
"I remember," she whispered, her voice cracking from a mix of awe and emotion.
The mother bear nudged the cub forward as if saying, "Take care of my child. You know what to do." Then she turned and disappeared into the storm, leaving Anna and the cub alone together. From that day forward, Anna was never truly alone. The cub became her companion, following her quietly through the cabin, curling up by the fire at night. She fed it carefully, warmed it, and taught it to trust humans in a world that was otherwise harsh and unfeeling. Weeks passed. Snowstorms came and went, rivers froze and thawed, and life in the wilderness continued in its relentless rhythm. Yet Anna began to notice signs that her old friend, the mother bear, was watching over them. Footprints in the snow outside the cabin, a shadow lurking behind trees, the distant echo of a growl ways gentle, never threatening. It was as though the mother bear was silently guarding her cub, ensuring Anna treated it well, ensuring the bond of the past remained intact. Every day, Anna reflected on the strange magic of that moment. The cub, once saved, had returned with its own child, completing a circle of life, trust, and gratitude. She realized that acts of kindness are never lost, that even in the coldest, loneliest, and harshest places, compassion leaves a mark that time cannot erase. Anna and the cub grew together through the seasons. The small creature learned quickly, playful and curious, yet always aware of the silent bond with the woman who had once saved its life. The cabin, once quiet and lonely, was now full of warmth, laughter, and the soft padding of tiny paws on wooden floors. And still, from time to time, the mother bear would appear at the edge of the forest, watching, approving, ensuring that her child was safe. Anna learned to read the subtle signs of the wilderness, the direction of the footprints in the snow, the faint scuff marks on the frozen ground, the shape of shadows in the forest. Each sign told a story of loyalty, remembrance, and the enduring connection between humans and nature. Winter turned to spring. The snow began to melt, and the rivers flowed once again. Anna's life, though isolated in the frozen north, had been transformed. She was no longer merely surviving. She was thriving in a companionship that transcended words. She realized that kindness ripples through time, that a single act of courage, love, and compassion can return years later in the most unexpected and miraculous ways. One night, as the northern lights danced across the sky in ethereal green and purple, Anna sat outside with the cub, now larger, resting its head on her lap. The mother bear watched from a distance, silent and proud.
The wind whispered through the frozen trees,
Carrying with it a message that transcended language. Love, care, and empathy are the forces that shape life itself.
Anna whispered to the cub, "You are safe. You will always be safe here."
Just as I was meant to help you, you are meant to carry this forward. Her words, soft and trembling, seemed to mingle with the lights in the sky, a blessing both for the cub and for the mother who had returned. And so, in the harshest wilderness on earth, in a place so cold it could freeze the soul, a bond endured. A bond born from compassion, nurtured by care, and honored by remembrance. In a story, and the story of the bears became one a tale that proves that love and kindness are never wasted. That some bonds are stronger than time, colder than winter, and wilder than the forests themselves. Because sometimes, in the quietest moments, in the harshest winters, the world reminds us, what you give comes back in ways you can never imagine. And in that frozen cabin in Yakusha, an old woman and a small bear cub watched the snow fall together, knowing that life, even in the coldest and loneliest places, can be warm, magical, and full of hope.